Hi folks, welcome into the channel. Juan here from Physical Media EU. Today we're gonna check out a 4K release that has been at the top of my wish list, second spot probably on my top. I'm talking about The Sound of Music for this 60th anniversary release. Hello again and thanks for tuning in for another review. As I was saying, today we're gonna check out this release of The Sound of Music for the first time in 4K. But before we start, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you're interested in physical media, especially Blu-ray reviews, but also other physical media collecting talk. Besides that, you can also find me on Instagram, which has the same handle, Physical Media EU, where I post little photos of all the items that I review. With that said, let's begin by taking a look at this release. This is a German edition, but the cover is the same in other markets as well. Here you have the back, and it has a slip cover, as you can see. On the inside we find this standard case, which also has the same back, but let me put this more in detail in case you wanna check it out. But as you can notice there, the text is also in German. Besides that, there's also some description about the bonus features and also some technical details about the disc. And let's take a closer look at the front of the slipcover. As you can see there, it has some sectorized shiny areas, and I have to say that this updated design maybe looks very nice. It gives a little bit of a modern touch maybe, but of course here we have Julie Andrews in this iconic pose. Moving on to the standard case, here we see the same cover, front and back. The cover is actually reversible. Let me show you real quick. You can see here, this is the side that comes on the outside to begin with, because it has this age restriction badge here. But of course I flipped it around so I get the clean cover on the outside. This edition comes with two discs, as you can see there and there. Yeah, there's a little bit more straight, and besides that, it also includes 3 R cards that you can see here with I guess there are stills of the movie more than R cards. They are quite nice. It's just that they included only 3. They would have been nice to have some more, or maybe a poster even, but of course better than nothing. So not a whole lot to show really, so let's move on to the contents of the disc. Let's talk first about the picture quality. As I said at the beginning, this is the first time this movie is released in 4K. This implies a new transfer, which is a significant upgrade from the previous transfer that, if I'm not wrong, was for the 50th anniversary release, so 10 years ago, which already was an upgrade from the previous Blu-ray, if I'm not wrong, from the 45th anniversary. And this is an upgrade for me from the 50th anniversary Blu-ray, which at the time I thought that it actually looked quite nice, but after seeing this version, it's like maybe not night and day, but you can see that there's a very significant upgrade. The colors and the sharpness for most scenes have been very improved. Of course, there are still several scenes that are a little blurry on some parts, but I think that is expected. And with that said, in general, the movie looks awesome in 4K. It has been very nice to see that this movie finally gets a 4K upgrade, because in my opinion, this movie was long due to get this treatment. And one of the reasons that this has been delayed for so long is because this movie now is owned by Disney. And Disney has been, let's say, a little slow, but in the last couple of years we saw that they released a couple more movies. And actually the movie that is at the very top, number 1 of my all-time wish list for 4K transfers, is Big Trouble in Little China, another movie that is now owned by Disney, acquired through Fox. And next year is going to be the 40th anniversary release of that one, so fingers crossed that it will have a 4K release. It's the only John Carpenter movie that doesn't have a 4K, at least that I can think of. And Big Trouble in Little China is a very loved movie, has many fans, and many of us in the physical media forums have been wishing very much about having a 4K of that movie. And I have hopes that it will happen next year. I think I feel like after seeing signs like this coming from Disney with this kind of 4K releases, it has to be the year that we're gonna get Big Trouble in Little China. So fingers crossed that's the case. Now going back to this one and moving on to the audio track, It has Dolby Atmos, also has Dolby Vision, by the way. And sure, yeah, the audio track sounds very good, but the previous Blu-ray had a 7.1 mix. So it is an improvement, but the previous one was also pretty good. So it's not that significant a difference as it was, for example, with the picture quality. Now talking about bonus features, as you saw, this release has 2 discs. The 4K disc, which is a 100 disc Blu-ray, only has one bonus feature, which is an audio commentary with the director of the movie. All the other bonus features are included in the Blu-ray disc, which luckily for us fans, it is quite packed of bonus features, but it's the old bonus features, there's nothing new here. With that said, it still includes, for example, the sing-along version. That's something that has been kind of carried over the different Blu-ray releases. You know, in the first days of Blu-ray, the Blu-rays used to be more interactive than they are now, and things like this were more common. So it's nice to see that these things are still present in this release. And besides the sing-along version, there's also an extra audio commentary track besides the one of the director that I mentioned before, this one with Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. Besides that, there's featurette also, if I'm not wrong, and that's pretty much it for what you get on this version. And I mentioned this because talking about other releases, this is the European release, as I mentioned at the beginning, from Germany, but in the US, the same release had an extra disc with more bonus material. And I cannot understand why they wouldn't do that same third disc release in Europe. I think it's quite unfortunate, but with that said, again, all the bonus material included in that third disc, there's nothing new there. I know for a fact that some of the content of that third disc was also included, for example, in the 50th anniversary Blu-ray. For example, that one that is quite famous of Julie Andrews comes back to Salzburg after many years, which by the way is on YouTube. If you want to get that, maybe you can just get the Blu-ray, for example, and you would get it. If it's maybe easier than getting the US release that you have to import it and could be a little bit more expensive. And in case you're wondering about the subtitles included in this release, besides English and German, of course, there's also Italian, Spanish, and also Japanese. Now to give my conclusion about the release, I'm very happy that this movie finally got the 4K release that it was long due for such a long time. But with that said, I'm quite disappointed of the kind of release that it got. I also had the 45th anniversary release. You can see the photo up here, and look at that release. Look how many things it has, including like a music box and such a big booklet and so on. And then to get a standard case with a slipcover, I mean, and this is if you buy it now. If you wait a few months, probably it's just gonna be the standard one. It feels like it feels like a downgrade actually. Of course, the movie looks great in 4K, it has never been this good, but I feel like The Sound of Music deserves so much more for fans, right, than just this standard release with 3 art cards, not even a third disc here in Europe. So in that sense, it is quite a bit of a bummer. But of course, if you like this movie, the 4K is a must-have, because the transfer is great, the movie looks awesome, it's a very nice upgrade over the Blu-ray, and at least this is not an expensive release. So yeah, it's not the best physical media release ever made, and on the good side, at least it has not been an expensive release. And as time goes on, probably you will get it cheaper, maybe you get an offer. And that's all for the review. I hope you liked it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel or hitting the like button. And remember to check out on Instagram for digital photos of the release. Lastly, I would love to hear on the comments if you have watched this movie, if you own it, in what format, and if you are planning to upgrade to the 4K. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all at Okie Dogs.